phone jack that receives calls but cannot make them can be caused by several factors. These range from simple wiring issues to problems with the phone itself or the telephone line. Firstly, faulty wiring is a common cause. This includes loose or damaged wires in the phone jack or the associated cabling, as well as incorrect wire connections within the jack. Secondly, the phone jack itself might be damaged with physical damage to its internal components or corrosion or moisture causing contact issues. Thirdly, there might be an intermittent connection between the telephone line and the jack, or damaged or faulty wiring along the telephone line itself. Fourthly, the phone connected to the jack may be malfunctioning, specifically its ability to send call signals. Fifthly, if a line filter or splitter is installed in the phone line, it may be malfunctioning or causing interference. To troubleshoot this issue, firstly, you should check the wiring. Inspect the wiring in the jack and the associated cabling for any loose or damaged connections. Ensure the wires are correctly connected to the terminals of the jack. The standard wiring for phone lines typically involves 2 wires. In older systems, these are often red and green, but newer installations might use different color combinations. The important thing is to ensure that the correct wires are connected to the correct terminals on the jack. A wiring diagram or reference to the jack's instructions can be helpful here. Secondly, if the wiring is intact, replace the phone jack with a new one. This could resolve any internal damage or contact issues. Phone jacks are relatively inexpensive and easy to replace. Before replacing the jack, turn off the power to the phone line to avoid any potential electrical hazards. Then carefully disconnect the existing wires from the old jack, noting their positions. Connect the wires to the corresponding terminals on the new jack and then secure the jack in place. Thirdly, test the telephone line. Connect a different phone to the jack and try making a call. If the other phone works, the line is likely fine. If not, there may be a problem with the telephone line. This step helps to isolate whether the issue is with the phone itself or with the phone line or jack. If another phone works, it suggests the original phone is the problem. If no phone works, the issue is likely with the line or the jack. Fourthly, check the telephone. Connect the phone that is not working to a different phone jack. If it works there, the phone may be defective. This is another step in isolating the problem. If the phone works on a different jack, it confirms that the original jack is the issue. If the phone still doesn't work, the phone itself is the problem. Fifthly, bypass line filters or splitters. Temporarily remove any line filters or splitters from the phone line and try making a call. If the call goes through, the filter or splitter may be faulty. Line filters and splitters can sometimes cause interference or signal degradation, especially if they are old or damaged. Removing them temporarily can help determine if they are the source of the problem. Additional tips include ensuring the phone is properly plugged into the jack and that the cord is not damaged. Sometimes a loose connection or a damaged cord can prevent the phone from making calls. Also, try restarting the phone by unplugging it and plugging it back in. This can sometimes resolve minor software or hardware glitches. Contact the telephone service provider if you suspect a problem with the telephone line. They can test the line for issues and make any necessary repairs. When checking the wiring, look for signs of corrosion or damage. Corrosion can create resistance and prevent proper signal transmission. Damaged wires can be frayed or broken, which can also interrupt the signal. If you find any corrosion, clean the terminals with a wire brush or contact cleaner. If you find any damaged wires, replace them or the entire jack. When connecting the wires to the terminals, ensure they are securely fastened. Loose connections can cause intermittent problems and prevent the phone from working properly. Use a screwdriver or other tool to tighten the screws on the terminals. If you are not comfortable working with wiring, consider hiring a qualified electrician or telephone technician. They have the expertise and tools to diagnose and repair phone line problems safely and effectively. When replacing the phone jack, choose a high-quality jack that is compatible with the phone system. Cheap jacks may be more prone to failure and can cause problems down the line. Look for a jack that is made of durable materials and has good reviews. When testing the telephone line, try making calls to different numbers. Sometimes the problem may only occur when calling certain numbers. This could indicate a problem with the phone line or the telephone service provider's equipment. If you have multiple phones in the house, try testing them all to see if the problem is isolated to one phone or jack. This can help narrow down the source of the problem. If you suspect a problem with the telephone service provider's equipment, document the problem and any troubleshooting steps you have taken before calling them. This will help them diagnose the problem more quickly and efficiently. Be prepared to answer questions about the phone line, the phone jacks, and the phones themselves. The telephone service provider may also ask you to perform some basic troubleshooting steps over the phone. Be patient and follow their instructions carefully. If the telephone service provider is unable to resolve the problem over the phone, they may need to send a technician to your home to investigate further. Be sure to schedule an appointment at a time that is convenient for you. Before the technician arrives, gather any relevant information about the problem, such as when it started, what troubleshooting steps you have already taken, and any other relevant details. This will help the technician diagnose the problem more quickly and efficiently. If the technician finds a problem with the telephone line, they will typically repair it on the spot. However, if the problem is more complex, they may need to schedule a follow-up appointment to complete the repairs. If the technician finds a problem with your phone jack or phone, they may recommend that you replace it. Be sure to ask them for their recommendations and get a quote for the cost of the replacement. Before making any decisions, consider your budget and the severity of the problem. In some cases, it may be more cost-effective to replace the phone or jack than to repair it. If you are not comfortable replacing the phone or jack yourself, you can hire a qualified electrician or telephone technician to do it for you. Be sure to get a quote for the cost of the installation before hiring them. After the repairs are completed, test the phone line to make sure that it is working properly. Make calls to different numbers and check the sound quality. If you are still experiencing problems, contact the telephone service provider again and explain the situation. They may need to send a technician back to your home to investigate further. Phone systems can be complex and troubleshooting problems can be challenging. However, by following these steps, you can often diagnose and resolve the problem yourself. If you are not comfortable working with wiring or are unsure about any of the steps, it is always best to consult with a qualified professional. Regular maintenance can help prevent phone line problems. Check the phone jacks and wiring periodically for signs of damage or corrosion. Clean the terminals with a wire brush or contact cleaner if necessary. Replace any damaged wires or jacks as soon as possible. Consider using a surge protector to protect your phone system from power surges. Power surges can damage phone equipment and cause problems with the phone line. If you have a DSL or fiber optic internet connection, be sure to use the correct filters and splitters. Using the wrong filters and splitters can cause interference and problems with both the phone and internet services. If you are planning to make any changes to your phone wiring, consult with a qualified electrician or telephone technician first. They can help you ensure that the changes are made safely and correctly. Always disconnect the power to the phone line before working on any wiring. This will help prevent electrical shock. Use caution when working with tools and equipment. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from debris. If you are not comfortable working with tools or equipment, ask someone else to do it for you. If you are not sure how to do something, ask for help. There are many resources available online and in libraries that can provide information and guidance. Phone line problems can be frustrating, but they are often relatively easy to fix. By following these troubleshooting steps and taking some basic precautions, you can often resolve the problem yourself and avoid the expense of hiring a professional. Remember to always prioritize safety when working with electrical wiring and equipment. If you are ever unsure about something, it is always best to consult with a qualified professional. By taking these steps, you can keep your phone system working properly and avoid problems in the future. Furthermore, understanding the basics of telephone wiring can be beneficial. Telephone wiring typically uses two wires, often referred to as tip and ring. These wires carry the electrical signals that transmit voice and data. The standard for telephone wiring in North America is RJ11, which is a modular connector with 6 positions, although typically only 2 are used for a single phone line. In older homes, you might find full wire or even more complex wiring configurations, but the principle remains the same: 2 wires are used for each phone line. When troubleshooting, it's important to identify which wires are the tip and ring. Usually, the red wire is the ring, and the green wire is the tip. However, it's always best to confirm this with a wiring diagram or by tracing the wires back to the source. The voltage on a telephone line is typically around 48 volts direct current when the phone is on hook, meaning it's not in use. When the phone is off hook, meaning someone is making a call, the voltage drops to around 6 to 12 volts direct current. This voltage change is used to signal the phone company's equipment that a call is in progress. When troubleshooting, it's important to be aware of these voltages. While 48 volts direct current is not typically dangerous, it can still give you a shock. It's always best to disconnect the power to the phone line before working on any wiring. There are several tools that can be helpful when troubleshooting phone line problems. A multimeter can be used to measure the voltage on the phone line and to check for continuity in the wiring. A wire stripper can be used to remove insulation from wires without damaging them. A crimping tool can be used to attach connectors to wires. A tone generator and probe can be used to trace wires through walls and ceilings. These tools are relatively inexpensive and can be found at most hardware stores. When working with telephone wiring, it's important to follow all safety precautions. Always disconnect the power to the phone line before working on any wiring. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from debris. Use caution when working with tools and equipment. If you are not comfortable working with wiring, it's always best to consult with a qualified professional. By understanding the basics of telephone wiring and using the right tools, you can often troubleshoot and repair phone line problems yourself. However, it's important to prioritize safety and to consult with a professional if you are unsure about anything. Moreover, when you have a phone that can receive but cannot make calls, the issue often lies within the signaling circuit. The telephone system uses different signals for receiving and making calls. Receiving a call primarily involves the phone ringing, which is a higher voltage alternating current signal sent by the phone company. Making a call, however, requires the phone to send dual-tone multi-frequency, or DTMF, signals to the phone company's equipment. These DTMF signals are the tones you hear when you press the buttons on your phone. If the phone is not able to generate these DTMF signals, it will not be able to make calls. This could be due to a problem with the phone's keypad, the phone's internal circuitry, or the wiring between the phone and the jack. When troubleshooting, you can try using a different phone to see if the problem is with the phone itself. You can also try cleaning the phone's keypad to see if that helps. If the problem is with the wiring, you may need to replace the phone jack or the wiring between the jack and the phone. In addition to DTMF signals, the telephone system also uses other signals for various purposes. For example, a dial tone is a continuous tone that indicates the phone is ready to make a call. A busy signal is an interrupted tone that indicates the phone line is in use. A ringback tone is a tone that indicates the phone you are calling is ringing. These signals are all generated by the phone company's equipment and are transmitted over the phone line. When troubleshooting, it can be helpful to listen for these signals to see if they are present. If a dial tone is not present, it could indicate a problem with the phone line or the phone company's equipment. If a busy signal is present when the phone is not in use, it could indicate a problem with the phone's internal circuitry. If a ringback tone is not present when you are calling someone, it could indicate a problem with the phone line or the phone company's equipment. The telephone system is a complex network of wires, switches, and equipment. Troubleshooting problems can be challenging, but by understanding the basics of how the system works, you can often diagnose and resolve the problem yourself. Remember to always prioritize safety and to consult with a professional if you are unsure about anything.